What is the state of the Chicago Bulls? This is a question that's been on my mind for the last few weeks because when I look at this roster, when I look at this team, it's been kind of mercurial at best. What I recognize is this is a team that is in flux. This is a team that is shifting from where it was with the Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic era into a outlook that I think is where they need to go, which is a rebuild. And so I want to dive into that in this video. But before I do, this video is being brought to you by Bridges and Stones Family and Relationship Care. If someone you know and care for is struggling with their mental health or relationships, go to bridgesinstones.com and contact them for your free consultation today. One brave act today can create a better tomorrow. Remember, none of us make it alone. The link is in the description box below. You know, the Chicago Bulls are a famous franchise. They're one of the largest markets, and they are known for winning, even if recently they are known for a whole lot of losing and disappointment. And I think that some of that disappointment has been trying to rush the process. It's been hitching their wagon to the wrong guys, such as bad coaches or injury-prone stars, hence Zach LaVine. And so a lot of where they're at today is a byproduct of doing just that, taking missteps. And hopefully what they are able to learn from that is that they have to be more intentional about the steps that they're taking currently. And I think the big step that they should be recognizing is that they are rebuilding. They are no longer competing for playoffs. They are no longer competing even for positioning in the playoffs. They should be looking not to tank. And I want to remove this idea of tanking because tanking is not just BS to me. I think it's a very foolish thing to do unless there's literally a Victor Wembanyama out there, which there is not. Cooper Flag is not. Let me be 100% clear on that. But it is to say that the Chicago Bulls have an opportunity to prepare themselves for that player when they come. I like somebody like a VJ Edgecombe. I think he's got Ray Allen type level potential. I think he could be a long-time all-star. Watching him in international play this summer from the Olympic qualifiers. Big-time talent. Ace Bailey even has ripples of that, but I think he kind of feels more like a Brandon Ingram type, where he's going to be a really talented player, but I don't think he necessarily gets you past the first round. But all that's to say is that this team is in a preparation stage. What they are in need of is situating this roster to actually make room for whoever that star player is going to be. And so right now, one of the first things that they need to do is to figure out a way to move on from Zach LaVine. I think the best way for them to do so is actually to package him with a Nikola Vucevic. There are plenty of teams out there who desperately need a really versatile big man who is playoff tested and approved, who is versatile, who can score on the inside and out, set good screens, who you don't have to teach and worry about if they understand how to navigate playoff atmosphere. You can plug and play right now. You got teams like the Golden State Warriors. You got teams like the New Orleans Pelicans, which I actually have a trade proposal for. It is Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic for Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum. Brandon Ingram, if you want to re-sign him, you can, but I would not re-sign him if I'm the Chicago Bulls. And then what I would do is or if you re-sign him, I mean, you can keep him as an asset, but it's to say, then eventually CJ McCollum, you can either release him, trade him away, and start building towards the future. And the hope is that you have enough financial flexibility and roster flexibility to welcome in a high-level talent. This should be the type of rebuild process that says we want to give Josh Giddey, Ayo Dosunmu, Jalen Smith, Kobe White, Patrick Williams, Dalen Terry a lot of minutes. You want to give them a lot of minutes during this season over the next couple of years until you get that guy, until you get that Cade Cunningham, until you get that Nikola Jokic, that Joel Embiid, that guy that you know that you can hitch your wagon to, who has not just the talent but the intangibles to lead. But until you do that, this is where you're at. You are developing. You are making sure that you develop a winning culture. Remember, winning culture doesn't always mean that you're getting into the playoffs. It means that you're playing the right way. Just ask the Houston Rockets when they had Jalen Green, and then they had Kevin Porter Jr. And most of us watched how they play. There were veterans who were even saying it themselves. That's not NBA basketball. That's not winning basketball. And now they're on the back end with now the talent to start winning, and Jalen Green's having to figure out how to play to win. And so this is what this team is having to develop right now. How do we develop winning basketball? How do we hold guys accountable? And they actually have the perfect coach for that. Multiple NCAA championship winning Billy Donovan, who understands what winning basketball looks like. How do you ensure you have a culture of working hard? How do you have the culture of that grit and determination, that defensive pedigree, that accountability to say, we are going to play on that string. We are going to play together. Right now, I think Lonzo Ball and Zach LaVine have to start until they're able to be moved on from, because you have to build up that trade value again. You have to remind teams that they are talented and worth bringing in. And so when I look at that trade to New Orleans, I think that's how it happens, is that they have a third of the season, the first 25, 30 games, where Zach LaVine looks great, right? Make him play defense, have Lonzo Ball next to him with Nikola Vucevic, and you win some games. And as an organization, you understand what you're doing. You're not going to push for the playoffs. You're pushing for a trade because he's not that guy. You're not going to make that mistake again. And then go ahead and make the trade, package who you need to, and then move on. And as you move on, be able to then say, this is what we are preparing for, which is the guy who you are going to hitch your wagon to. Now, with that said, I think they have a lot of young talent that I'm really excited about. I think Josh Giddey is going to be a great fit next to Patrick Williams and Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu. I think that's going to be a really strong starting lineup, and they can just throw in a veteran center somewhere in there, right? I wouldn't even mind if they were to grab somebody like a Mo Bamba, somebody who has always had talent and been intriguing, is still young enough to see if he develops into something, but you're not necessarily betting on him, right? Go grab somebody like a James Wiseman, right? Who you can go out there and say like, hey, you know what? We're going to give you 25, 32 minutes a game and see who you become, because we're not necessarily invested in winning right now. And I think that that's the move for the Chicago Bulls at this point, because this roster is, like I said before, is not built to win. It's not built to win. Now, I do like what their outlook could potentially be in the next 3 to 4 years. And I know that may seem kind of perilous, but remember, a 3 to 4 year rebuild is actually really good, because you're going to have the ups and downs, and you're going to position yourself to get the next guy like a DJ Abanza, right? Or a VJ Edgecombe, somebody who might be a franchise changing player who you can then begin to position all the pieces around. And so when you look at the current roster makeup and these young players, I think you see a lot of guys with intrigue. But what I like about this current roster is that a lot of these individual players have extremely good contracts. And that's the next thing I want to dive into. This roster has a bunch of really great contracts. Whether you're looking at a Patrick Williams at 18 million, whether you're looking at Kobe White at 12 for multiple years, Jalen Smith at 8, 9 million, that's ascending. Josh Giddey is probably going to re-sign for something close to what Patrick Williams is at. Even if he blows up and is great, the most you're doing is re-signing him for about 18 to 20, and that's still very movable. Ayo Dosunmu at 7, and Matas Buzelis at 5, right? And Dalen Terry at 3 and then 5. All these contracts can easily be grouped together and packaged for a better asset, or they can extend them at a reasonable deal and kind of kick it down the road and see where this team ends up later on. But by no means should they put themselves into the Zach LaVine position all over again, hitching their wagon to somebody who they know is not the franchise guy, getting locked into a long-term deal with someone who can't stay healthy, or you know that their ceiling is a first-round exit at best. But as always, I want to know what you all think about this team. I think that they are in a very interesting place with a lot of great young talent. I think they have a really good coach to be able to develop them. But first, what they have to do is they have to move on from the old guard, namely Zach LaVine. And to do so, I think they're going to have to get rid of Nikola Vucevic with him. I like the trade to the Pelicans for Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you can think of other teams that you could package them to and get something similar. But as always, get at me in the comment section, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'm going to get at y'all next time. If you enjoyed this video, definitely share it in your group chats. And I'm going to chop it up with y'all in the comment section. I'm going to get at y'all next time. Peace.